Anti-Corruption Law is enacted as a positive and sincere way of encouraging citizens to join the fight against corruption, which is the original intent of the whistleblowing policy. The Abuja Declaration features two major highlights. The first is the recognition of whistleblowing as not just a mechanism for addressing fraud and illegalities, but also a right of freedom of expression, which is a fundamental human right that needs to be fully protected. People have a right to both speaking up and speaking out without any hindrance. The second feature is the unanimous endorsement of a strong coalition of duty bearers to intensify the campaign for an urgent realization of protection legislation. We are aware from the latest report from the Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, which manages the whistleblowing policy, that the draft whistleblower bill will this month be considered at the Federal Executive Council meeting and sent to the National Assembly for passage. The coalition looks forward to this meeting and hopes that the FEC acts in the interest of our country. However, this coalition will not wait for them. Our resolve is to, as quickly as possible, use the Abuja Declaration as a tool of engagement with all tiers of government, but especially the National Assembly, towards having this bill passed and having a law before the tenure of this administration ends in 2023.
Assembly. So they brought all those bills and said, can we look at these things and then let's have a harmonized bill. Let's have one bill that you can send to government. This is the courtesy of Ministry of Finance now. So they brought all those bills. So we were there, they singled out 5 CSOs, Afric Mill, Primark, Header, Clean Foundation, we were, and CDD. So we were at Kefi with them, EFCC, ICPC, Ministry of Justice, Code of Conduct, Public Complaints Bureau, all of. So we were there, we looked at the bill. At the end of the day, we came out with a harmonized bill. So, and then the ministry promised that that bill will be sent to, a draft bill now will be sent to Justice for finalization. So that bill was sent to Justice and returned to the Ministry of Finance, which are the administrators, like I said. So only last week we learned that that bill had been scheduled for consideration at the Federal Executive Council meeting. Unfortunately, FEC did not hold yesterday for reasons I couldn't understand. But inside this month, whether next Wednesday or the one after it, there's going to be a consideration of that, and then for onward transmission to the National Assembly for passage into law. So this bill is already perfected. The Ministry of Justice has done its work. Everything is set. It's just for the FEC to look at it finally and say, okay, this is our bill. Because the whistleblowing bill now is not going to be a private member's bill or anything. It's an executive bill. Yeah. So it's lying now at the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, who at the FEC meeting will present it for consideration.
Yes, it's good that we should go to the streets and make our demands known, but we've had series of engagements on radio, which we all know that radio is a very veritable tool that we can use to disseminate information. We've had members and a representative from the Ministry of Justice who was on the program. We have had members of a representative from PICA also on the program. Why did we have these radio town hall meetings on 2 different radio stations, Kids FM and Raypa, just to intimate citizens of the need to blow the whistle, despite the fact that we're advocating for us to have a legislation? So aside from radio engagement, like he suggested, if the need arises for us to go ahead to hit the street, we will definitely do that. And which is why we are also having this conversation today, to also help us popularize our demand for us to have a legislation, because we understand that corruption is not doing us any good. And it's not just the National Assembly here. What of the citizens? We understand that the citizens need, or whistleblowers need to be protected, but are we ready to blow the whistle, or are we part of those committing acts of corruption in the society? So it behoves on all of us to do the needful while we are demanding that the National Assembly and also the Ministry of Finance to ensure that we have a bill. We are all stakeholders in the fight against corruption. Thank you.
So still saying something like that, like she said, it is a collective responsibility if we want this process to scale through. We're monitoring the developments around the bill. It will be discussed at the FEC. It will be transmitted to the National Assembly. And then if we discover that at any point in time the government wants to start playing games with it, and then we will put on the other aspect of our cap. Struggle is one of the things we enjoy doing. We know nothing good is achieved on a platter of gold. So we struggle for it, just as we did with the PRA, for instance, for over a decade and all of that. We're still going to do the same thing. So we are monitoring the development around the bill, and we are going to follow through with whatever action is needed to ensure that it sees the light of the day. And again, a clarion call to the media. We understand also the role that you people play, particularly in amplifying issues and bringing it to the front, keeping it in the front burner. I want to also encourage you and plead with you to use your platform, to use whatever avenue within your means to also amplify the need for the passage of this bill. At every point in time you have the opportunity of discussing with any of the GT bearers, please push the question to them. And as election is coming up, it could be a matter of election. We can begin to ask it, what will you do with regards to this bill, particularly to the candidates and all of this. So these are the venues through which we can keep the issue in the front burner, and all of us work together to ensure it scales through. We believe that with our collective effort, we will achieve the goal of having a whistleblowing legislation in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you.